Good morning, beautiful people. It's Dr. Hoskins here in beautiful upstate of South Carolina, Spartanburg, Bowling Springs, South Lake Bowen. This has been a very interesting week, to say the least. I was going to do a video on Monday, but decided not to kind of gather my thoughts. I was going to do a video on Wednesday, and other things got in the way. I had 6 Zoom meetings on Wednesday. Very impactful, caused me to reflect even more. So today is Friday. It's early in the morning, getting the office open, ready to see clients, because Friday mornings are our office hours, 8 to 2. It's been like I said, it's been a week of reflection. It's been a deep dive into emotions and deep dive into hearing people talk and shout, hearing people cry out, hearing people say stupid things, hearing people say things I'd never thought about before in a very impactful and deep resonating way with my soul, in my heart, and who I am. And I'm encouraged by some of the things I hear. I'm encouraged by some of the things I'm seeing. I'm encouraged at the awakening state of our world. I'm encouraged that we are finally getting over some of our long-held beliefs that have no basis in fact or truth or common sense. I am encouraged that we're starting to see all of the parties at play here, not just the two sides, but the controllers versus the players. And it's interesting as I started to think about the us versus them mentality. Is if I'm thinking about this as a chess game. So you have the chess players, and then you have the chess board with the pieces on it. And it used to be us versus them. And what people are waking up to now is it's us versus them. And it's that way in the sports worlds too, especially with baseball going through their collective bargaining arrangements. It's not the Cardinals versus the Cubs or the Yankees versus the Dodgers. It's the players versus the payers. It's the players versus the owners. We're starting to see that play out in sports, and we're starting to see that play out in healthcare. We're starting to see that play out in our social issues. We're starting to see that play out in especially these protests that have drawn ne'er-do-wells. The protests that are done, I think, in a very good way, mostly, have drawn people that just want to stir up strife and cause division among the brethren. And in Proverbs, we know that God hates these 6 things, and these 7 are an abomination. And if you don't know what that word abomination means, it's something that makes you want to just throw up everything in your system, to regurgitate and puke over everything. So it's interesting, haughty eyes are in there, all these things. But the 7th one, the one that takes it over the edge for God in this passage, is somebody who sows discord among the brethren. And those are the things that make God just want to puke when he looks at it. And I definitely never want to be in that situation with the creator God of the universe. I don't want to have anybody fall into that position, actually. But there are people that choose to do that on a regular basis. And I think a lot of people are waking up to that. We see a lot of finger pointing. We see a lot of blame gaming, blame shifting. And again, it's pieces on the board pointing at each other. And a few of the pieces are like saying, listen, it's not us, guys. It's not us. We're all in the same game. It's them that are trying to control us. And anyway, that's just how I'm viewing it this week. It may change next week when new stuff comes out, if new stuff comes out. But what does that got to do with chiropractic? Well, chiropractic is definitely one of the pieces on the board, but it tends to be left alone because we just don't fit the narrative of either side of the healthcare debate. We are separate and distinct, and I think that's what sets us. Well, it does set us apart philosophically. It sets us apart practically. It sets us apart pragmatically. It sets us apart in a lot of different ways. And being set apart, we tend to be overlooked. But we've made such an impact in the lives of people that when they look at all of the lies that have been told to them, all of the things that have been said, you have to have these things for this to take place, thrown away when something else comes into being. I'll get into the specifics of that statement in a second. People are like, you know what? The only profession in this sector that hasn't lied to us is the chiropractors. The chiropractors have had the same message for 120 years. They haven't swayed from it. They haven't swerved from it. A few portions of our profession have decided to go into the medical profession and play in that realm, and they're the ones that are getting burned right now. Their colors are being shown as playing in a different team, and that's fine. It's still a free country. You can do what you want. What I'm talking about is for decades upon decades, chiropractic has been said to not be validated because we don't have double-blind controlled studies on our effectiveness and what we say we do. And I can understand where that's coming from, but I also understand that science is bigger than just double-blind controls. And science has always dealt with that way before Bacon. Sir Francis Bacon came up with that scientific method of double-blind studies. I'm okay with that. Doesn't matter to me. It's still valid based upon common science. It's still valid based upon common sense, based on that common science, and I'm okay with that. But to hear in this COVID pandemic coming out that, you know what, at some point, the volume of clinical studies becomes as valid as a double-blind study. We've been saying that for years. At some point, the numbers overwhelm the double-blind study indicatives. To say that for chiropractic, who's been proven clinically to be safe for 100 years, more than 100 years, it's like still questionable, but to rush drugs that could kill people with no double-blind studies that are extensive, with minimal procedures and precautions. Even drug companies are questioning how fast some of these vaccines and treatments are being rushed through. Even something that's been around as long as hydrochloroquine, it's been around for a long time. Some of the studies that were done recently, some of the pharmaceuticals companies are like, that went way too fast. People are waking up to the inconsistencies, and they're looking to people who are consistent. And I'm proud to say that chiropractic is one of those groups of people that we've stuck by what we've said for 100 years, 120 years, 130, 125 years this year. That we know from basic common science that the brain, brainstem, spinal cord control everything in the body. Nothing happens in the body without the brain, brainstem, spinal cord, the central nervous system knowing about it and mitigating it or adapting to it, unless there's interference. There's 33 core principles in chiropractic. That's pretty much sums it all up. Is that interference at a spinal level is called subluxation. A vertebral subluxation is a spinal joint that doesn't behave properly. It's either sitting improperly in accordance to its neighbors, or it's moving improperly. And that position and malfunction, puts pressure on the nervous system, and nerve tissue does not like pressure on it. That's just basic common science. And if nerve tissue has pressure on it, it doesn't function normally. If it doesn't function normally, wherever it's connected to can't function normally. That's basic common science. It's basic common sense. That's why chiropractic hasn't needed to change. So based on science, it is true and doesn't need to change. We're also finding out a lot of other ramifications of what's going on. There's a podcast coming out on Monday. It's called the Chiro Hustle Podcast. It's episode 150 something. It is a neuroscientist. He's got a dual PhD in psychoneuroimmunology and another psychology degree, and he's talking about the impact that the physical adjustment, the chiropractic adjustment, has on the brain itself. How it actually resets the brain to normal, healthy, healing state rather than the fight, flight, or defense state. So it's pretty impactful. He's got a lot of research. He's got a lot of he's built a couple companies around that concept, and all the evidence is there. All the science is there. We don't have to create something. We don't have to go around the laws of physics or the rules of science to prove what we do. It's all there, and I'm happy. I don't know if you can tell it today. Today's a little bit of a low energy morning. But I'm happy. I'm thrilled to be part of this profession. I'm happy to provide it to my clients and to my family and to my neighbors and my community. And if you're in the upstate, if you're in Spartanburg, if you're in North Spartanburg, Boiling Springs, Inman, South Lake Bowen area, I'd love to take care of you and your family. I really, really would. If you know somebody in this area that doesn't have a chiropractor, send them my way. I'd love to take care of them. PureChiroNow.com is a website. 864-715-2225 is the phone number. The physical location is at Route 292 and Route 9, exit 10 off of Interstate 26 going from Asheville into Spartanburg. It's exit 10 on the South Carolina side. We're about a mile and a half away. So that's my thoughts for today. Usually I try to be a little bit more uplifting, a little bit more inspiring, but today was the end of a very intense week of growth and change and introspection and awareness. So thanks for watching me, those of you who do watch me. I look forward to talking with any of you that needs to talk to me. Have a good one. Take care. Love you. Bye-bye.